Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning in and welcome to my presentation of Justice Quest, the AI-powered legal assistant. Justice Quest was crafted to help the average person win their case by saving them a ton of time, a ton of stress, and a ton of money. I built Justice Quest because I had some cases I was dealing with, and quite frankly, it was overwhelming. If you've ever been in court, whether prosecuting or defending a case, you know how many moving parts there are. You know you have to be precise. You know you have to be on top of things, and things can get crazy really fast. I did have some tools I was working with, but they weren't good enough. So I had to build a holistic solution, and that's what I've done here with Justice Quest. If you are an attorney or a licensed professional, then this is great because it's just an extension of what you already know. But if you're not a legal professional and you don't have a whole bunch of knowledge, this is still sufficient, and it can guide you through whatever process you need to be guided through. So let's log in here. I'm going to log into my test account, and we're going to get started. All right, here we go. So when you first log into Justice Quest, the first question you're going to need to ask yourself is, do I speak English? Because if you don't speak English, you're going to have to go here and figure out what language you speak. Now let's say I speak Spanish. I choose Spanish, and bam, everything is in Spanish. There's no problem. I can go forward. I can still handle my case. I can do everything I need to do. But I speak English, so let's go back. All right, the next thing you're going to have to do, or the next question you're going to have to ask yourself is, do I vibe with this interface? Because if I don't, then I might want to choose a different theme, you know what I mean? So maybe you're a girly girl, maybe you like pink. Bam, go to Valentine. Let me stop saying bam. Or maybe you just like a dark theme. You can do that. But I'm going to keep it simple. I'm going to go with the light theme, and we're going to move on. So one more thing before we actually get into a case. Now, this is an actual case that I plan on filing very soon against Bank of America. And just to give you guys some background, it has to do with like probate and trust law. My mom passed away last year. I reached out to Bank of America to retrieve her account. And unfortunately, they gave me the runaround for about a year, so now I have to do something about it. But you'll notice this Assistant Ready badge down here. And what this means is that an AI assistant has been attached to your case, and it is ready to assist you throughout the life of your case. And the significance of that is that all of the information that we collect, and especially all of the documentary evidence that you upload to our system or to this particular case, that AI assistant will treat that knowledge or that information as a knowledge base. So as you're going through your case, you may need questions answered. You may have to strategize, and especially draft legal documents. The AI assistant will already have context and already know what's going on, so you don't have to continue to reprompt it or reorient it, and so that it doesn't hallucinate. All right, so let's move on. When you first start a case, you'll click this button, add your case title, and a case or reference number if you have one. But actually, before we do that, in order to really show you the capabilities of Justice Quest, I think I need to start at the end. So let's go to our document and exhibit management portal, and let's look at this petition. Now, I went through the entire process that I needed to go through, step 1 through 4, with Justice Quest, and I was able to generate this document with the click of a button. And it has everything that a pleading is supposed to have: an introduction, jurisdiction and venue, parties, factual allegations, causes of action, prayer for relief, signature block, certificate of service. All these things are typical when filing documents in a court case. Not only that, there's more. For the low price of free, you can also add exhibits to your pleading or motion or whatever. And so when you do generate exhibits, it'll come with a cover page that has the exhibit title, the description, and then exhibits after that. And of course, you can download these documents and modify them if you need to. Probably not these exhibit pages, but definitely your legal documents. All right. Oh yeah, last thing. Let's say you draft a letter and you need to send it out. Just click share, enter the email address, give a personal message, and then share it. So, all right, let's go back to the case now. When you first initialize a case, you will not see this dashboard here. The only reason why you see this dashboard is because I already started. But the first thing you'll actually see is this legal interview page. So you'll get some background of what you can expect. And this is pretty accurate. It should take you about 10 or 15 minutes, depending on how much information is involved, and also depending on if you already have your documents and exhibits ready to go for upload. If you don't, it'll take you a little bit longer, but it's a fairly quick process. So first thing you'll do is you'll start with some case identification information. If you've already entered the case title, it'll transfer over. Same thing with the case number. And then you're going to choose the type of law that you think this involves. After that, you're going to add a quick summary just to give a quick background of what the case is about, and I've done this here, and a desired outcome. Now, before we move on, I want to highlight something. I don't like to type. A lot of people don't like to type. It's tedious, time consuming. So you might want to speak your answers. That's why I have this button here. Hey, check 1, 2. Let me know if you can hear me. My name is Ian Bruce, and I'm from Lawrenceville. Well, I'm from Long Beach, California, and I live in Lawrenceville, Georgia. And you can see that it transcribed everything I said and put it right there. So in most cases where you need to type something long, you can also speak your answers. All right, moving on. Do you have a current active legal case? I do not, but I am considering taking legal action, and I am gathering information for potential future action. And then the last question is, would you like an actual lawyer to review your case? So if you choose yes, we will reach out to our network of lawyers and see if anyone is interested in reaching out to you, as long as it makes sense and it's appropriate. All right, moving on. Third step, upload exhibits. This is one of the most important steps in the process because, like I said, every case has an AI assistant attached to it. So all of the documentary evidence that you upload here, and even the audio, if it's coherent, we'll transcribe that, and we will store the contents of that evidence as a knowledge base for the AI assistant so that it has context and that it knows how to properly answer your questions and properly draft your documents. We also allow video uploads as well. Now, these are the exhibits and the petition, so that's why they don't have an exhibit label, but if I were to upload something right now, there would be an exhibit badge right next to the title. Also, when you upload documentary evidence, we generate a title and summary so that when if you ever have to revisit some of this stuff and you're trying to figure out where your documents are, you know how to identify it right away. So, all right, moving on. Now, one of the cool things we do is we like to look forward and save you as much time as possible. And one of the ways we do that is we extract as many names and addresses off the documents as we can. So that way, whenever you need to add your parties, which you'll do down, up here, and it'll show up down here, you can do that with a click of a button. Now, this isn't perfect. It doesn't always get it right because sometimes, your evidence might be illegible or it may be a little confusing, but it gets it right most of the time. And if you need to make, an adjustment, you just click the edit button, save, and now you have what you need to have. If you have to add a brand new contact, you just click this button up here and do what you need to do. All right, now the final step in this process is the fact gathering interview. And this is where you'll first start to interact with your AI assistant. So I've already done this. And as you can see, it asks me, a couple questions about what's going on. And if I have with all my answers, I can click this button down here and speak my answers like I showed you before. Now, once the assistant has determined that it has asked you a sufficient amount of questions, it'll ask you if you want to add anything else. And if you have nothing left to add and you're done, the summary will be triggered. And you'll get something like this. And it's pretty thorough. So there's a case summary, and it's pretty accurate. Key facts, jurisdiction analysis, legal issues identified, parties analysis, talks about your evidence. So yes, it's pretty thorough. All right, so now we're back at the case dashboard. Step 2 is the automated legal research. Now, these research items were generated by a button that I clicked in this area. And they were automatically generated based on the context of the case that the AI assistant already has. However, if you have your own research items that you would like to queue up and have researched, you can add it right here. Just give it a title, describe what you want researched, and define the source type, and create your item. Once you're done, you can click View Summary, and you'll get something like this, where it'll identify, statutes that are relevant. It'll go through those statutes and talk about the elements. There's case law that it can give you, and if you've ever been in court, you know how important that can be. And yeah, it has a lot. It's very useful here. It also provides all the references down here. So that's how that works. Now, step 3. When you're in court, you're essentially in a battle, and you need to know how to approach this thing. And sometimes you may not know how you want to approach it, or what's the appropriate way to approach it. So in that case, you'll create a new strategy, add your title for it. Obviously, I've already done one down here, but this is what it looks like. You'll be able to speak to your assistant, and it'll give you a lot of information relevant to your case and based on your questions. And then when you're done, you click Save as Strategy. Once you click that, it'll generate a record down here, and this is what it'll look like if you ever need to reference it. But I'll show you why else this is relevant on the next step. Let's go back to the case. All right, so final step, step number 4, which is to draft your documents, right? Because you can't go into court with no documents. You have to file something. So let's say you want to start a new draft. First, you'll select your document type: pleading, motion, affidavit, proposed order. I recently had to do that with a default judgment, certificate of service, or a letter or a contract. Now, remember I mentioned the strategy would be relevant. If you've developed a strategy that you like, you can apply that strategy to this draft, and the assistant will keep that in its memory. Now, let's say you have some sort of demand letter or some document that you've already generated that you want to reference. Or let's say we were drafting a motion and we want it to be based on a pleading that we've already drafted. Well, you can apply it here, and it will be stored in the AI assistant's memory. After you've done that, you give the document a name and a description, and then you can create your draft. So, like I said, I've already done that. But once you get into the editor, this is what you'll see. And based on the document type, it'll have a number of different sections: introduction, jurisdiction and venue, parties, factual allegations. These are all the sections that you saw in the document that I first showed you when we started this process. And all of that was generated simply by me clicking this one button, Generate Full Document. And I was able to do that because the assistant already had all the context it needed to draft a properly formatted document. If you ever need to generate one section at a time, you just go to the section you want to generate, click this button down here, and it'll generate for you. You can also ask questions or ask for things to be modified as well. But that's pretty much it. And that's what I built. It's very structured. It can get you in the fight very quickly. And if you ever need to reference any of your old information, you have all the places you can do that. The last thing I think I want to show you, which is a small part of the application, but relevant. Let's say you got in contact with a lawyer and you did all this, but you're still confused, you need some help. Scroll down and you enable collaboration. Now, All you need is the lawyer's email. You give them a role, and you send it over there. Once they accept, they can see everything that you have in here. They can make modifications. They can draft documents. They can help you manage your case from their account. So that's what I have for you. I hope this has been informative, and I hope you guys try it out and see how easy it is to use. And most of all, I hope it helps you. If you're overwhelmed by a case that you're dealing with and you don't know what you're doing, I built this for you so that you can win and find success and not lose your cases or not be stripped of justice just because you don't have the money or the resources. Now you do. So thank you guys for tuning in, and until next time.